Okay, students, fine. All of my friends here who are present here, a very warm good evening to one and all. Okay, fine. I am receiving some messages here due to the stream being started delayed. Fine. Okay, thank you, Jitesh. All right, good evening. Students, a quick recap of what we learned in the last class of the boot camp. We started with conditional statements. We jumped into if else, am I right? Syntax of if else in Python, few standard programs that we wrote using if else. We also learned what is a if else ladder, correct? Else if, which is written as ELIF. And the most important thing that we learned yesterday was indentation. Okay, I just quickly check as the people joined here. Okay, yep, Darshan, fine, good evening. Actually, there was some problem in my scheduled meeting. That's the reason I couldn't join on time. Fine. People are still waiting there. Okay, fine. Anyways, let's start. They will join one by one. The class today is exclusively for Python iterative statements. Okay, iterative statements that is most commonly called by other programming languages as loop. Okay, looping or nothing but iterating. Fine. Now before I could begin, iteration, loops, different types of loops in Python, first of all try to understand the significance of it. As I mentioned for decision making, that if else contribute huge part of the project code, even loops form any project, any app, even loops form a big part of the project code. Okay, in fact, more than 10-20% of any project's code is always loop, for loop, while loops, and so on. First of all, let us try to understand what is the use of loop, what is an iteration, and why do programmers use iterations in the code. Alright, why do we use iterations? Why do we need to loop? And what exactly do we loop in the program? Alright, this first 5 minute time that I'm spending, this is common for any programming language. The reasons for using loops and iteration. You talk about C, you talk about C++, you talk about Java, or you talk about any other programming language like JavaScript. The concept for using or the reasons and needs of using loop is one and the same. Okay, so here we go. Let me first checking it out in the chat box. Okay, people are, I think, still waiting there. Fine, just give me one moment of time. Just give me one moment of time, please. Take it. Here we go. Friends, first of all, today I'm working under Jupyter Notebook. This is another IDE or interface of writing Python program. Alright. For Jupyter, you need to install Anaconda, which can be freely downloadable from official website of Anaconda. Alright. You just have to type that download the recent Anaconda release. You'll get an Anaconda link. You can download Anaconda, and once Anaconda is downloaded, this is how it looks. After downloading, once it is installed, this is how Anaconda Navigator looks. From Anaconda, we just have to click to Jupyter Notebook. Well, if time permits, I will let you know these steps: how to download Anaconda and install it and launch the notebook. For the people who are comfortable with Python Idle, Visual Studio Code, or Colab, they can keep on working there. Okay. The reason why I'm using Jupyter Notebook, that is just to introduce you one more IDE of Python. Okay, fine. All right. Now listen to me. This is how Jupyter Notebook looks like, just like Colab. We just have to launch it. If one is already opened for me, no, it's not. Well, for all my friends who have joined in late here, for all my friends who have just joined, the IDE means the software interface for writing Python program I'm using today is Jupyter Notebook. It's your choice. You want, you can keep working in Colab. There's nothing different between the two. All right. The reason why I'm using Jupyter Notebook is to introduce you one more interface of writing code. Okay. Otherwise, there's nothing wrong with Python idle as well. All right. Fine. Okay. I think here is my Jupyter Notebook. Okay, fine. It's taking time to open. Let it take its time. Meanwhile, I write a sample code in Notepad. Okay. Say I want to print 5 times a message hello on the screen. Okay, we want to print 5 times today message hello on the screen. So what do we do is, okay, here we go. Fine. No need of Notepad. I got the notebook. Fine. In case if you ever happen to work in Jupyter Notebook, you just have to go to new and select Python 3 here. That's an interpreter, people. Okay. And the new Jupyter notebook, it just looks like a collab interface. Okay. It gives you the feel as if you're working in Google Colab only. Chalo, fine. Again, let it take its time. My notepad is open here. So let me say print hello. Okay. Again, print hello. Of course, people understand today indentation matters in Python. Okay? You can't give a space here unless necessary. Am I right? The space is given in the beginning of the line to indent it, provided the line above is a block. But print statement is not a block to declare or block to start from. Hence, there is no indentation required here. It must be aligned in the same level of indentation. Again, I write print hello. Okay. Again, I write print hello. To save a time, I keep this copied. And print hello. As I told you, I want to display hello total 5 times. Please pay attention here. Only if you understand the concept of loops, the logic building could be improved. Understood? Basically, it is loop and the decision making statement that together makes up mental logic building. हमको आना चाहिए लूप कब कभी कैसे यूज करना है. Fine. Okay, my notebook is ready behind. Jupyter notebook is ready. Again, I repeat, for those who don't wish to work in Anaconda and Jupyter, that's okay. You can continue working in Idle, Visual Studio, or maybe your Colab. I copy this and I paste it here in the cell. I say run the code. Fine. It has quickly printed hello 5 times. Friends, my work starts now. All right. Note it into your minds as well as in your book. A good programmer, understood? An intelligent developer or a good programmer never repeat a piece of code over and over again. All right. That's absolutely foolproof idea. You look what you have done. Print hello, the same code you write 5 times. Never repeat your code. The code should be as short as possible. The code must be as simple and easy to read as possible. Unnecessarily repeating the same lines of code over and over again, you are making the program lengthy to run and execute. Okay, the size of the program is increasing, length is increasing, thereby readability is increasing, correct? Of course, but obvious, more the number of lines, more someone have to read it, correct? So DRY, this is a dry principle. This is what I ask you to keep it noted. For all these 30-40 days, you have to remember the full form of DRY. Don't repeat yourself. All right. You wanted to print hello 5 times. What if hello was to be printed 500 times? Are you getting my point of concern here? What if hello was to be printed 500 times? So definitely I can't write this print statement 500 times one below another. Is that clear? So there should be some mechanism. All right. For this, we introduce, or Python introduce, the concept of loop. Loop, as we say, looping is nothing but doing round and round, taking rounds. That's what is a loop, correct? Taking round after round, round after round. Also called as iterations after iteration, iteration after iteration. All right, fine. Now there are two primary loops supported by Python, like every other programming languages. One called as a for loop, another called as a while loop. Right? For those of my friends who are coming here from non-IT, non-computer science background, it might take some time for them to grasp. But once you get a hands on it, you will get a grip of it. All right. Application of for loop is different from that of while loop. But today, more than application, we will focus on the syntax of both the loop. Okay, because for loops, I've kept 2 sessions in the bootcamp. Okay, we won't wind off loops in just one lecture. We'll have different sessions for it. Okay, fine. Now, what is the structure of the for loop? Before I introduce you the syntax of for loop, always try to understand. For loop is composed of 3 parts. Understood? For loop need to be answered 3 questions, boys and girls. Whenever we code for loop needs to be answered 3 questions. Right? In C++, Java, what is the syntax of for loop? Like this. Say for first part, which is called as initialization. Question number one, initialization. Second part, which is called as condition. And the third part, which is called as either incrementation or decrementation, followed by the for loop block. Okay, now the task which is to be repeated, to speak in a little related term, the task which is to be looped over and over again and again and over again, that is written inside the for loop block. Just one time. Relax. It's absolutely fine for those who are finding it little tougher. Once I start writing the program, concepts start becoming easier. Alright. I repeat one more time. That makes no sense to write print hello 5 times. Instead, you should code a loop in such a way that it will iterate over the instructions 5 times. You got my point here. Is it right? Your coding style. Come on, your coding mentality. All right. Your coding instruction should be in such a way to the computer that computer will be made to iterate over the code to be repeated same over and over again. Understood? Of course, for that to happen, you have to first initialize the start value of the loop. All right. That's what is called as the first part of the loop, initialization. All right. Say I take a variable here. Okay. Very commonly used variable in the loops, that is I. You can use any variable A, B, C, D, E, F. Go back to the day one. In fact, we started Python with variables only. All right, always recollect the definition that I have stated for variable. Variables are like containers, right or not, to hold the values. Fine. So say there is a variable called as I equal to 1. This part is called as initialization. That means I want the counter variable to start from 1. Okay. How many times you want to iterate over the same instructions? You got my point? And how many rounds you want to take to execute the same instruction? One time, two time, three time. So second question condition basically asking you how many times to loop over. All right. If you ask to me in a simple language, if Darshan is also here today with us, Darshan understanding, right? How many times to loop over the instruction total? So that is what is the second one, second condition question asking you. Starting from one से शुरू करते हुए गिनती till 1 is less than 5. While 1 is less than 5, if this condition is true, you should iterate or loop over the statement. But the moment condition becomes false, you have to come out of the loop. Are you understanding? Okay, so condition, which is the second question in loop or in a for loop specially, will ask you to write the condition how long to loop over. कब तक? That is what is the question as. कब तक मैं loop करता रहूं? Until the condition is true, the instructions will be looped one by one. Once the condition go wrong or it turns false, the looping will stop and you come out of for state. All right. But if I run the code till here, this will put you into trouble. Like I is equal to 1, I less than 5. But 1 will always be less than 5. So there should be some scope to increase this value of I in each loop, correct? Right? For example, friends, for example, after taking round 1, my counter increases and it now becomes 2, right? So indicating this is a second round going on. So after completing the second round, counter increases and it becomes 3. And then it checks the condition is 3 less than 5. So after completing the third round, I have to keep a record now how many rounds I'm completing, correct or not? चक्कर कितने ले रहे हो आप? How many rounds you are completing? So after completing the fourth round, counter again increments, it becomes 5. All right, but 5 is not less than 5. All right, I from 1 kept incrementing by 1 and became 5. Unfortunately, 5 is not less than 5. Condition will turn false and we will come out of it. There was a special case in case if you had written condition this way, less than or equal to 5, then it will go to take another round because 5 is not less than 5, but the condition is still true as 5 is still equal to 5. Am I right? Fine. So the third round, or let me say the third question or third part which is asked by the for loop, that is incrementation or decrementation. Right? In this example, incrementation is applicable. So there are two ways you can increase I. Simply write I is equals to I plus 1 in each loop. Or even if you use the shorthand operator, that is plus plus, that's fine. Alright, Python generally doesn't allow you I plus plus. We just have to write I equals I plus 1. Alright, and even if you don't have to write the I plus 1 and all, once I start writing here in the notebook, you will better understand. Okay, fine. So now if I write the statement print hello, print hello. Okay, I give you a simple dry run how computer will execute this code. Okay, number one, loop number one. This is my rough work, guys. A rough work. Okay. In loop number one, what is the first value of I? I started from 1. Yep. So I is 1. I is 1. Check the condition, please. Check the condition. Is 1 less than 5? Yes, the condition is true. All right. 1 is less than 5. Correct. Condition is true. So what will happen? Hello will be printed. Okay. Output hello will be printed. Fine. Let me keep this line copied. In the second loop, after completing the first round, the value of I will be updated by increasing itself by 1. Correct? So I, which was 1 initially to start the loop, has now become 2. All right. So second in the second loop, loop number 2 or iteration number 2, whatever you call it to be, the value of I becomes 2. Check the condition is 2 less than 5. Yup, true. I'm writing here in the bracket. This is true. This is again true. Help. What will happen? Hello will be printed. So after completing the second round, I will increase and it will become 3. Alright, the first part is executed only one time. That is in the first loop. Second, third, fourth loop onwards. So second loop onwards, just second and the third part executes. Got it? Right. So in the third loop, I becomes 3 by incrementing itself with 1. Take the condition, guys. Is 3 less than 5? Because I is now 3. In that expression, I will be substituted with its value of 3. Yes, it's true. 3 is less than 5. You are right. Condition is still true. 3 is less than 5. What to be done? Action should be taken. Hello will be printed. Now, luckily, this for loop has just one statement to execute. It's possible. Inside the for loop block, we have 1000 statements to execute. Got it? So, only after executing 1000 statement, one round will be completed. Clear? Come on. In loop number 4, okay, in loop number 4, I will update because the third part is increasing. I constantly in each loop. Correct? I is being getting incremented continuously, constantly in each loop. Right? So I will be updated from 3 to 4. Check the condition is 4 less than 5. Yup, it is true. So hello will be printed. Alright. I will be updated in the next iteration. Alright. So in loop number 5 means round number 5. Correct, in the fifth round. पांचवे चक्कर में I will update itself by increasing with 1 from 4 to 5. Is 5 less than 5? No, 5 is not less than 5, but 5 is equal to 5. Right? Because the condition states either less than or equal to, correct? So the condition is still true. 5 is equal to 5, and hello will be printed. Friends, what will happen now? Will the sixth loop take place? Answer is yes. Counter will go till here. काउंटर का कंट्रोल यहां तक आएगा. याद रखिए. In loop number 6, I will become 6, but on testing the condition, outcome will come false. Like, is 6 less than or equal to 5? No, sorry, 6 is neither less than 5 nor it is equal to 5. Condition is false, and it's a flag or a green signal that we can come out of them. Are you understanding? Fine. So basically, those 5 lines of code which I wrote in the beginning of the lecture is now customized. Let me summarize to only 1 or 2, 3 lines of code, or possibly 2 lines if I write in Python using for statement. Is that clear? Fine. Let me see, check the chat box in case if anyone has any question. All right. Any question to be asked? Is the dry run which I gave you that is understood? Thank you. Okay, fine, sir. Just give me a moment of time. I need to switch on my charger. Fine. Here we go. Okay. So let's try to learn the syntax of for loop in Python now, because the syntax which I showed you that was for C, C++, Java. Since it was easy to understand for beginners, That's the reason I introduced. Now the same thing, look how Python does. How the same thing is achieved by Python. Alright. So this is my Jupyter notebook. Okay, let me use this. I write I equals 1. Alright, I equals 1. For no need of I equals 1. Let me write like this. For I in range. Okay, range. Now when you write range, it asks you two questions: from where to where. Remember, kahan se kahan tak, from where to where. This is the syntax of for loop in Python. So for I in range 1 to 10. So basically, this is answering the first two questions. We initialize I to 1 and we are checking the condition 1 or I less than 10. Remember always, the range function's upper limit is always less than, never less than equal to. Understood? Upper limit. 1 is called as a lower limit of the range, 10 is called as an upper limit of the range. The range function is designed to work till less than upper limit, not less than equal to the upper limit. Okay, so I equal to 1, run the loop till I becomes less than 10. Alright, what to do? The block starts and we have to indent the line below it. I say print I. Okay, so this is basically going to print the numbers from 1 to 10. How? Come on, start. In the first iteration or in the first round, I will be 1 because we started loop from 1. Correct? This is equivalent to write I equal to 1. Print I, so 1 will be printed. In the next loop, I becomes 2. Now, one thing if you notice, we haven't written I plus plus anywhere in the syntax of for under Python. Okay, because if you don't write the incrementation or decrementation code, this is something very important I'm speaking, please try to understand. आप नहीं बताएंगे इंक्रीमेंट करना है या डिक्रीमेंट करना है या कितने से इंक्रीमेंट करना है. Python by default increments the counter by 1 in for. All right, it by default takes a step size of 1. All right, it by default takes a step size of 1. Check it out, this is right. Right, so you see I is 1, I is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Last value printed was 9 because when I became 10, condition will turn false. 10 is not less than 10. All right, and if you wanted to print 10, then you should have increased the upper limit to 11. Right, because if you go right 11, so I will be tested for trueness of condition till less than 11. Okay, hoping you understand. Clear. Suppose you don't want to take a step size of just 1, you want to take a step size of 2. Means in each iteration you want to increment I by 2. Friends, are you getting my point? In each iteration, if you want to increment I by 2, so third argument of the range function is actually a step size. Right, if you don't give the third argument, arguments are nothing but values inside the functions. All right, so this is a range function. 1 and 11 are the arguments we pass to it. So values that we pass inside the round braces of the functions are called as arguments. All right, so if you don't specify the third argument, the default step size will always be 1. Third argument is to specify the step size. First argument is a lower limit, second argument is an upper limit, third argument is a step size. Right, so it's almost equal to write. If you write 1, output will be same. But if I write 2, check what's in output. Starting from 1, print I, 1 will be printed. But the next value of I is I plus 2, so I becomes 3. Am I right? So we are taking a hop, means jump of two integers in between. Correct or not? Every alternate. Maybe these are the odd numbers between 1 to 10. Am I right? We are printing odd numbers using loop between 1 to 10. Right? After 3, the next number is 5. Yes, 5 is less than 11. After 5, the next number selected will be 7. Yes, 7 is less than 11. After 7, the next number will be 9, because you are increasing the number by 2 in each loop. All right. Fine. So it will be 9. After 9, it will be 11, but 11 is not less than 11. 11 is equal to 11. Correct. So the condition 10 falls and we come out of it. Right? What if I want to display all the numbers who are multiples of 5? All right, between 1 to 50, the numbers who are multiple of 5. Okay? There are two ways of doing it. See, starting from 1 till 50. Inside the for loop, I write an if statement. If I, because first value of I will be 1. So 1 divided by 5 is equal to 0. In each loop, I will be updating itself. It will be incrementing itself by 1 1. So first value of I will be 1. Is 1 divisible by 5? Only if it is divisible, we print it. So there is a condition imposed on printing I. Provided every time after updating I, check if it is divisible by 5. Only if it is divisible by 5, print it. Else don't print it. So I execute it. Check 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Okay, last one is 45, because 50 is not less than 50, it is equal to 50. You wanted 50, you should have written the upper limit as 51. Okay. Another way of doing that could be, if you don't wanted to write the if statement inside, another way of doing that could be, let me remove this if. Okay. Starting from 1 till 50, let me take a step size of 5. Okay, I think you don't have to start from 1, because the first value will be 1, 1 plus 5, the next value will be 6. You have to start from 0. But are you understanding why 0? Right? So first value of I will be 0. All right. Second value of I will be 5. And if you are so much concerned, see, if I do like that, then better start from 5 itself, because I know the first multiple of 5 is 5. Exactly. Starting from 5 till 50. Each time I want to increase the counter by 5. So I think this logic is better than the previous one, because it eliminate if statement from the for loop. The code become yet shorter, right? Right, so that's all up to the intelligence of a developer. How does he or she build logic and write the code? All right, fine. Before I could go ahead from here, any doubt, please post to me in the chat box. Ma'am, so 1 to 9 times. Yes, correct part. Any other question to be asked? Sure, fine. Okay, see, what I do is, again, I print numbers from 1 to 10. I print numbers from 1 to 10. Or let me say upper limit be 11, so that 10 could be included. Okay, I print numbers from 1 to 10. But now I realize I wanted to print these numbers in reverse order. What I mean by reverse order, I wanted 10 to come first and 1 to be in the end, right? So change the upper and lower limit. We want to start printing from 10, and we want to keep going till 1. But this time you have to write the step size as -1. All right. So if you want to come from higher to lower, upper limit is, or let me say lower limit is larger and upper limit is smaller. Is it right? 10 to 1. The start is bigger, end is smaller. That means we have to step down. Right? Otherwise, in the loop, we were stepping up. Correct? The ladder is same. सीढ़ी वही है. आप पे डिपेंड करता है आप चढ़ रहे हो या उतर रहे हो, ऊपर से नीचे आना है या नीचे से ऊपर जाना है. Accordingly set the step size. Okay, so if I say run, good. It prints from 10, okay, to 2, because how will it check now? First value is 10. It will check if 10 is greater than 1. Yes, it is. Then in the next loop, 10 will be decremented by 1 to become 9. Check is 9 greater than 1. Yes, it is. In the third loop, 9 will be decremented to become 8. Is 8 greater than 1? Similarly, 8 will be decremented to 7. 7 will decrement to 6. 6 will decrement by 1 and become 5. 5 decrements by 1 and become 4. 4 becomes 3. 3 becomes 2. 2 is still greater than 1. But when you decrement to 1, 1 is not greater than 1, right? 1 is equal to 1. So if you wanted to print 1, you go till 0 here. You write better 0. Why 0? Because 1 will be greater than 0. So the condition can be considered. And I say, is that clear? Okay, instead of 1, we could have written negative step size of 2 as well. So here we go. All right. Fine. Now I tell you one more thing. Before that, let me check the chat box. Okay, fine. Right? Tell you one more thing. See, all these stuffs that for loop can do can be achieved with while statement also. That is the second type of loop. But what is the speciality of for loop? I repeat, what is the use of the for loop? I have written here in my presentation for the day to day. So for loop is used for iterating over a sequence practically. Okay, sequence, as we have discussed in one of the past session, which is either a set or a string or a list or a dictionary. So basically, Python uses for loop to iterate over the sequence. Other whatever now using for can be easily achieved with while. And so all this task is reserved for while. For is exclusively meant to iterate over the sequences. How? Look, I show you. Okay, this is here we go. Okay. For example, let's take for example. Hmm, city. City is a list of 5 different elements, means 5 different values. So if I write like this, only Mumbai, variable can ideally hold one value. But if you want to store multiple values in the variable, you have to enclose in a square bracket. Okay. Anything declared in square bracket in Python is called as a list. Okay. So Mumbai, Delhi, or New Delhi, Chennai, Hyderabad, Kolkata. This is my list. Okay. Look, I can say print city. So this is how the city got printed as a list. You want to can check that type of city. That means its data type. Okay, so it says that the data type is list. Okay, now this is the actual essence of for loop. How can we make for loop to run here? Say for I in. Okay, not range this time. Not range, but the name of the list directly. For I in city. Here, print I. Okay, now city is an iterable object. Over here, my counter variable I is going to iterate in a sequence one by one. Meaning, simple meaning, first value of I in city will be Mumbai. In the second iteration, value of I in the list will be New Delhi. Understood? You cannot expect it to select randomly and take a jump. Maybe it leave 2 elements and then suddenly select Kolkata. After Kolkata, then select Hyderabad. After Hyderabad, then select Mumbai. No. For loop on these sequences can travel in order one by one. Okay, so the first value of I will be Mumbai. When you say print I, Mumbai will be printed. Second value of I will be New Delhi. This is how it is taking the jump, right? You don't have to write I plus plus here. You can't even write iterate by 2 or iterate by 3. Those options aren't available here. Okay, so because we are not using a range function anywhere, correct? So for I in city, print I. Check how the code works. Is that correct? So when you say just print city, it is printed city as a list. But if I want to print each element of this city one by one in a different line, I use print under a for loop. Okay, take another example. Come, take another example. Let me keep that code on. I got another example. Say A is equal to 24, 55, 66, 78, 12, 34. Right? I want to find out those numbers from this list which are not divisible by 2. Okay, like 55 is not divisible by 2, I think. Only 55, right? Okay, let's change this to 78, 73. So there are two such numbers in this list which is not divisible by 2. How would you do that? Let me say for I in A. A is a list of integers here, correct? We aren't using range function, right? This is called as running for loop in a sequence, right? So for I in A, just don't write print I, no, because first value of I in A would be 24, so 24 would be printed. Second value of I in A would be 55. Unfortunately, 55 would get printed, or fortunately, whatever. Third value of I in A would be 66 because it can travel only in a sequence. Okay. We want to print I provided it is not divisible by 2, right? So, how do we go about it? I write if I divided by 2 after dividing I by 2 not equal to 0. Okay. Double equal to for checking the equality. Exclamation and equal to is for checking the inequality. Okay, double equal to is to check the equality. Exclamation and equal to is to check or test the inequality, right? So only after dividing I by 2, if the remainder is not 0, print such I. Okay, then only print such I. So if I could run this, all right, so it prints 55 and 73. All right, clear. What if I want to print those numbers which are divisible by 2? So instead of not equal to, I write it equal to. That means if I is divisible by 2, print it. Okay, come on, let me know. Any doubt? Those of my friends who are here today. Any question from your side to be asked? Or else at least acknowledge me. Is this all loops? Are you understanding? Okay, would be grateful for your response if you say yes or no. Okay, okay, fine. All right, thank you. Bye. All right. Okay, let me take another example. Another example. Say we want to add all the elements present in the list and return the sum. Okay, say for example, we have a list called as A again, and A has this five numbers: one, say four, two, six, again two. If you add them all, what will be the sum? One plus four, five. Five plus two, seven. Seven plus six, 13. And 13 plus 2, 15. Correct? So 15 should be the answer. Right? How do we do that? Let me declare one variable here called as sum who has initial value 0. Okay. I write for I in A, for I in A. So the first value of I in A would be 1. What do we want to do? We want to update sum. Okay. We want to update sum as sum is equal to sum plus I. Let me give you quickly a dry run of it. How would it run? Okay. How this piece of code will run. Take a dry run. Okay. So basically this was our list and this was the code below the list. Loop number 1. I in A would be 1. So I is equals to 1. Right? Sum will be equal to, come on, this is how we update the same variable. The new sum will be equal to old sum plus I. Friends, I just write one thing here. This could be written in shorthand using sum plus equal to I. Remember shorthand operators. So you want you can write it this way or you want you can write it this way. Clear? Fine. Anyways, sum is equals to sum plus I. What was the value of sum earlier? 0. 0 plus I. Who is I now? 1. So new sum will become 1. In loop number 2, second I in A would be 4. So I over here is 4. Update sum again. Sum is equals to sum plus I. Who was the sum? 1. Updated sum is 1 now. So it is updating some variable by adding the current I in it, right? In each loop, sum is getting updated by adding the current value of I of the loop inside it. So 1 plus 4 and sum updates to 5. In loop number 3, I in A would be 2. So I is equal to 2. Sum would update itself. That is the previous value was 5. 5 plus 2. That means 7. Loop number 4. I in A would be 6. So I is equal to 6. Sum will update itself by adding current I in itself, right? Sum is equals to self plus current I. That is the expression. So 7 plus 6. That's 30. And in loop number 5, I in loop number 5 would be 2. So I is equal to 2. And the sum would be updated as 13 plus 2. That's 15. Okay, so in loop number 6, actually, now see what happens. In loop number 6, for loop encounters end of list, right? So the value of I is null, nothing. For loop, हम जब इसके बाहर आएंगे, sum की updated value 15 लेकर आएंगे, correct? Sum who was initially 0 outside the loop, but inside while iterating 5 times, it got updated to 50. Is it right? So our final task would be what you know. Let me delete this now. Once you come out of for loop, please print some. Right? Make sure that you don't put this line in indentation of for. Otherwise, that would be too irritating. Means what you're showing the updated output everywhere. All right, start 0 till 15. How some became 15? You're showing the intermediate output. नहीं हमको बीच का output देखना ही नहीं है. So why to print some in each iteration? Better when we come out of the for loop, we'll print sum altogether. Correct? Fine. So let's see it works or not. It works or not. Sum is equals to sum plus I. Print sum. Let me say that. Okay, it has printed 15. Right? If after 2 I add 20, is that clear? Fine. Okay. Acknowledge. Are you understanding? Any doubts so far to ask? Sure. Okay, then you will be taking these two questions for self practice. Okay. All right. This question I keep pending. Continue statement because we have not yet used. Okay, please take a screenshot of it. Take a screenshot of it or take a photo of it. Printing numbers from 1 to 10, numbers in a reverse order. Third question, skip it. Even numbers between 1 to 50. You're going to write a program to print factorial of a number. You understand factorial? Okay. For example, if it is 4 factorial, that is equals to 4 into 3 into 2 into 1. Alright, you're going to print sum of all elements of the list. You're going to traverse through the list and a string. Okay, how to travel or traverse across the list I showed you. What about string? That is also pretty simple. Check it out this way. Okay, so say str, or let me call it as a again. A is equal to mobile. Same for I in a, print I. First I in a is m, right? M will be printed. The second I in this string is u, so u will be printed. Check. Hoping you understand. Correct. Mumbai is capital of Maharashtra. This is how it is. Okay, means space is also counted as a character. Alright, so this is how we traverse using for loop in a string. Alright, fine. Okay, that's all for today. We learned how to use loops, although just one type of loop, that is for loop. We understood the actual meaning of iteration and why to use loop more importantly to maintain the DRY principle, that's don't repeat yourself. Okay, we use for loop in two different ways. One using range function with lower limit, upper limit, and the step size as arguments of it. And then second time we use the for loop to traverse across a list or a string. Is that clear? Fine. While loop, break keyword and continue keyword is yet left to be done, which I will take in loop part 2. Okay, loop part 2. If you can, like if you have a time back at home, please try this code also. Understand you might be busy like this one. Okay, prime number by itself. Like 7. 7 cannot be divided by any other number. 13, 11. Am I right? 31. What else I can say? 37. If you talk about other numbers like 9, 12, no, these numbers are divisible by many other numbers. Am I right? Like 12 is divisible by 2, it is divisible by 4, so it can't be said as prime. Palindrome means what? Like there is a number called as 121. Even if you reverse it, you're going to get it as 121. Number called as 1214. So if I reverse it, I will get 4121. That means it is not equal to the original number. So it can't be said as a palindrome. I ask you program to find number is palindrome or not. Like number, even there are some strict like mom, Even if you reverse the string, it will be still mom. Am I right? Dad, even if you reverse the string, it will be still dad. Malayalam. Malayalam. Dad. And even if you reverse the string, check Malayam. It is still Malayalam, right? But if you reverse the string Mumbai, no, the reverse of the string will be IABMUM, which is not equal to Mumbai. So it's not palindrome. Okay. Try to give your hands on. Check if you can do it. All right. Check if you can do it. Fine. All these programs which I give you in the end of the session as self of those. Since we are trying promise for that, I don't know how can it go far as of. All right. But we are trying to do it. In case if it's a certificate course, then we will ask you for all these self practice questions. All right. To submit us as an assignment. Hoping you are understanding for that. And day after tomorrow, I am not available in the city. That's the reason we cannot take sessions, right? Especially for tomorrow. That is Wednesday. Thursday, in case if you find class scheduled, then join. All right. If the session is not scheduled, don't join. That means there is no class. If I arrive on time on Thursday, I will take a session. It will be conducted. All right. But if there is a delay in my arrival, there won't be session on Thursday as well. In that case, we would be tomorrow. Thursday session would be there if you find the class scheduled. If no scheduled, then we will mail directly back on Friday. All right. Fine. Okay. All right. Chaliye. Bye. Goodbye. Take care and see you back soon. Okay. Keep the practice on. Happy coding.